All right. Yeah, good day, everybody. Good morning this morning to every of my friends and well wishers and enemies. This is the breakfast meeting with Silas Umekwe, and this is a monthly show. This is a monthly program, and I hold a breakfast meeting every month where we discuss business and we discuss topical issues that affect the nation, the business world, the crypto space, and all of that. All right, so I'm Silas Umekwe, and welcome to this month's edition of the breakfast meeting. Okay, so last month or earlier this month, there's been this issue about the FTX crash. And I mean, a lot of people had um, different things to say about it, right? A lot of people have different things to say about it. I've seen a lot of people say this is the end of Bitcoin. Um, I mean, there's a lot of drama going on around it, and sad part is that they have seen a lot of people. A lot of people have been saying that this could signal the end, right? This could signal the end because a lot of monies were lost. A lot of monies were lost. Take it to the side. A lot of monies were lost, and a lot of families' investment, the entire life savings of a lot of families went down the drain. So, FTX crash is one of the things I'm going to be talking about, and we are going to be looking at if that crash is actually going to signal an end to Bitcoin, or if it is just one of those things, right? So, without wasting more of your time, if you have not subscribed to this video, please click the subscribe button now and turn on the notification, right? Okay, so let's go straight. FTX. Now, FTX is an exchange, and according to statistics, was the second biggest exchange in the world based on transaction volume, right? So now we are going to be looking at this thing. Is FTX just is FTX just what would I say? What word would I use? Um, a casualty, because there's been this issue. A lot of people initially, I was of the opinion that FTX also was just a casualty of the dominance of CZ, which is the owner of Binance, right? He actually, at a time, in trying to salvage the whole drama of the FTX, wanted to buy out FTX. So it left a lot of people thinking if that was actually his initial plan, because at the beginning of it, CZ was one of the persons who called out the FTX scam. Now, the truth of the matter is, based on findings, FTX is one of the biggest scam of the century, guys. FTX is one of the biggest scam of the century, and I'm going to share why a few things I found, and we'll look at how that affects the crypto market and how that should influence your decision, if you've not already gone into crypto or if you are planning to go into crypto. So these are some of the things we are going to be looking at, and I sincerely hope you gain maximum value from this. All right, so let's go straight into FTX. Now, I was talking about FTX, and I said FTX was the second biggest exchange in the world. FTX FTX was the second biggest exchange in the world based on transaction volume, right? Okay, so FTX was owned, they filed for bankruptcy last week or 2 weeks earlier. Now, FTX was owned by a man called Sam Bankman Fried. Sam Bankman Fried. Now, the question is, his name is hyphenated. Bankman Fried is a hyphenated name. That means we have Bankman hyphen Fried. And the question is, why do we have that hyphen? The hyphen is gotten out of his parents' surname. His dad is Bankman, his mom is Fried, right? Okay, so Why was it necessary for Sam to keep the surnames of both parents? Because I mean, you both law professors. They are both law professors, top law professors, and these guys are involved in, and they're professors around tax laws, right, in the U.S. And fortunately, his father has been lobbying for the end of cash. That means he's been trying to see how they can run a completely cashless policy. So he's been lobbying for laws that's going to bring about the end of cash. And they are also both referred to as what we call bundlers. These are basically people that raise money for, you know, and they are Democrats. So they raise money for the Democratic Party, right? So you can imagine that these guys, I mean, they're way up there. That's what I'm trying to say. They're way up there. If you're funding the government, you know what that means. So these guys are way up there. Are not only involved in politics at the top level and turning themselves around tax laws. His aunt also works for the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum. And funny enough, or unfortunately, I say CZ, FTX is a partner of the World Economic Forum. FTX is a partner of the World Economic Forum. Now, the plot gets bigger, right? The plot gets bigger because Sam Bankman-Fried had another company which was called Alameda. Alameda is also another company of Sam Bankman-Fried, which was another place where he was pushing some of the funds to. Now, one of the major problems of the FTX was that there was no record of any financial transactions going on. They just had one pause and they spent exactly and directly from that pause. All investors' money was coming into one place, and Sam was using it to do what he feels like doing. Right? He had a house in Bahamas. He's just extravagant. And not only that, he was also one of the major donors. In fact, he was the second largest donor of the Joe Biden's campaign. Right? And coincidentally, FTX was founded around the time that Biden was running for office. So let's begin to plot, let's begin to dot the T's, cross the I's. FTX was founded around the time Joe Biden was running for office. And coincidentally, they were the second largest donor of the Biden's campaign. So, I mean, if you start plotting the graph, you'll be able to tell that this was a heist, man. This is one of the biggest of the century. We are talking about over $10 billion. $10 billion from everybody was scammed. Like, we are not just talking about the poor people in Africa, or we are not talking about the rich people in the US. We are talking about everybody that had their faith in FTX, that had faith in the product or in the progress of the project. Okay, so still looking at um, his ties to the government, his girlfriend was unfortunately the head of Alameda, right? So his second company, which is Alameda, was headed by his girlfriend. And now, why is this information important? It's important because the father of the girlfriend is a professor. Is a professor, and he worked under the head of the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, right? So you can imagine these guys are the ones that are saddled with the responsibility of, bringing out policies that concern securities and exchanges, right? So his girlfriend's dad was the head of it and was also the head of CFTX, right? CFTX simply means Commodity Futures and Trading Commission. These are the guys that are in charge of governing the entire future and trade market, right? And Sam Bankman-Fried has hired a lot of the regulators from CFTC. So this guy plotted a heist, a massive heist, right? A massive heist. This is the biggest fraud of the century. And a lot of people are saying that this will bring about some heavy laws into the crypto markets. It bring about some heavy laws into the crypto market, some heavy regulations, and all of that. Okay, so I think this is, I mean, there may be some truth in it, but we are still going to go back into the fundamentals. Okay, so some of the other things I found out about FTX was that when the war came, the war between Ukraine and Russia, a lot of people were funding the war through FTX. And like I said, FTX does not have a record. There is no record. As a matter of fact, according to findings, approval for spending is done with an emoji, like an emoji. Can you imagine that? Okay, say, okay, so we want to spend 100 million on so and so this thing, then you send a smiley, then you spend. I mean, and this was done over social media app, Signal, right? So you can imagine that. Now, when this matter was, when he also filed for bankruptcy, right? The lawyer in charge of the bankruptcy charges, when he went through the books, I mean, he was amazed. He was amazed. Like, this is the biggest scam. So FTX was a platform that was used for donating cryptocurrencies to the Ukraine war, right? And a lot of people did a lot of pumping money to support the cause, right? Now, the funny thing is that part of this money that was sent to the Ukrainian government was also reinvested back to FTX, right? So it's a huge, very, very huge, a huge heist. There are no records of transactions and all of that. And the crazy thing about this is that Sam is still working very free, right? Sam is still working very free. As a matter of fact, according to some of according to some of the top guys involved in this case, there is a 75% chance that he would not be indicted. That means there's a 75% chance that, I mean, he's filed for bankruptcy, he's a US citizen, although FTX was not registered in the US, but I mean, there's FTX US, but this guy is working free. There's a 75% chance that Sam is going to work free. So this has got to be the biggest. As a matter of fact, one of the top investors that lost a lot of money in this heist actually went on to say that he is going to invest in the next biggest project of the next project Sam is launching. He's going to invest in it. This is crazy. This is really, really crazy, right? This is really crazy. So Sam Bankman-Fried successfully scammed thousands of families of billions. We're talking of $10 billion. 10 billion. Now, how does this affect the crypto market? Now, there's been a lot of drama and talk that this thing that this guy did is going to bring down the crypto market. Bitcoin is going to zero. As a matter of fact, one of my friend in the US was like, man, I'm not interested in this shit anymore. Like, Bitcoin is going to zero. Everything is crashing. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is trading at around $16,000 right now. And there was also an effect of the FTX crash on the Bitcoin market. I've gotten calls from family, friends, well-wishers, loved ones who knows that I'm fully involved in crypto, who have advised and said, I mean, this thing that just happened now, are you sure that you're not going to you're not going to move on into some other business ventures, right? I've gotten a lot of calls, a lot of messages, and all of that. As a matter of fact, someone even recommended a book for me. Let me see if I can find it in my library. Let me see. Okay, I can't find it in my library. And the name of the book is Who Moved My Cheese? Now, I read that book some while ago, and it was simply saying, sometimes you just get stuck thinking, okay, you get into a business, it's not giving you results, so you just get stuck in it. And I mean, that you should know when to move on, that your cheese has been moved, right? So I mean, I'm trying to tell you how concerned a lot of people are that someone even recommended a book. Like he bought the book and was showing me, like, you need to read this book, guy. I mean, I've had this book for over 7 years and I had to go and reread it. I mean, I know you might have read it before, but go and read it again. And I'm like, yeah, I understand, man. I understand. One thing you need to understand about the financial market is that the fundamentals are basically triggers. The fundamentals. When we come to analyzing financial markets, I've been in financial markets for over a decade, right? And one of the things I found that you would always find patterns. And that is where we talk about technical analysis. You would always find certain patterns in every financial market. And I'm talking about whether it's Forex, whether it's crypto, whether it's stocks, whatever it is. If it's a financial market that has existed for a while, you are going to find some patterns. And once you can understand how these patterns work, you'll be able to make so much money from it. And that's exactly what we call technical analysis. Technical analysis is simply looking at previous price behavior so you can predict. What's going to happen next. Okay, so if you look at the technicals, right? If you look at the technical analysis of the crypto space, you are going to discover something. And what are you going to discover? You are going to discover that we are at a time where the market is on a markdown, right? The market has been on a markdown for over 8 months to 1 year, right? Over 8 months to 1 year. Now, let's look at this. Now I'm trying to bring we are trying to relay what just happened in FTX to what is happening in the crypto market and how this is all adding up, right? How this is all adding up. Now, let me explain something. There's something called market cycle. And the market cycle is made up of 4 phases, right? The first phase is the accumulation phase. The second phase is the markup phase. The third phase is the distribution phase. And the fourth phase is the markdown phase. Now, this cycle will always repeat itself in every market. That is how markets work, right? This cycle will always, whether it's crypto, whether it's Forex, no matter the market, these cycles will always repeat. Now, if you have an understanding of this, now let's go a little deeper. Let's look at the Bitcoin chart. The Bitcoin chart is one that has shown that we have gotten from the accumulation phase, which was around $3,500 shortly after the Bitcoin crash in 2017. So around 2018, 2019, Bitcoin fell to as low as 3,500 from 19,800, right? Now, this became the accumulation phase. Now, from 3,005 to 10,005, a lot of people were accumulating. Now, immediately it got past 10,000, we got into the markup phase. So Bitcoin entered an exponential move up onto 50,000, then on to 68,000. That became from 50,000 to 68,000 became the distribution phase. This means that a lot of people were taking profits. Now, once we got past that phase, the next phase that we expected was a markdown phase. And the markdown phase just simply meant that the market was going to lose value. There was going to be a crash in the market. Now, the market dropped to around 20,000, 19,000 and ranged at that area for months. Now, the FTX crash caused a further drop down. Now, this does not mean that the crash or the drop in value of Bitcoin was caused by FTX. We are in a phase in the market where we are in a markdown. The question now is, how low can Bitcoin really go? Now, so a lot of people assumed that the lowest point was 20,000, 19,000 until we saw 15,000. And one of them was as an effect of the FTX crash. Now, but this is exactly what I want to tell you. The market is driven by two major factors. And okay, let me just say the market is driven by one major factor, right? And that factor is human emotion. If you take away human, and this is one of the reasons why robot trading is actually not, will not always last. I mean, if for those of you that have been in the bot system, you would understand that the market is dynamic. You know, people say that, but that's actually the truth. The market is dynamic. So it looks like any robot you bring out after a while would actually stop being profitable. Yes, because the truth of the matter is what drives the market is human emotions, trading psychology. As a matter of fact, one of the things I tell people I teach when I teach them in financial markets is that trading is 80% psychology. If you have the wrong psychology, you're going to be a losing trader, and that's the truth. That's the truth. But if you put your mind right, I mean, you're going to make some good money. So there are two major emotions that control the market, and that is fear and greed. Fear and greed. These two are very powerful emotions, right? So when we are talking about fear, we are simply saying, I mean, don't go into Bitcoin now. Bitcoin is crashing. You know, a friend called me and was like, man, guy, I don't think you should be telling anybody to jump in on crypto. That crypto is washed, crypto is going to zero. I mean, it would be wicked of you to advise anybody to go into it and all of that. Now, that is what we call extreme fear, right? Extreme fear. Now, this is a market driver, actually. And that's one of the reasons why you see that after FTX crash, there was a drop in the market. People panicked and started selling. That is exactly what happens. When fear comes into the market, people panic and they start selling. Now, but once Bitcoin starts rising, there is some reinvented hope. A lot of people are now motivated. Okay, so let's go in, let's go all in. I mean, we are going back to 100,000. I told one of my friends when we are at 50,000 that, man, the market is due for a correction. Get out of the market. And he was like, okay, I'll do that. The market dropped down a little and picked back up and was going about 50,000, 60,000. I still told him, get out of the market, bro. And he was like, no, we are going to 100K. I said, get out of the market. And he didn't listen. And the market crashed to where we are presently. Now, the truth of the matter is, if you understand human psychology, you should be able to understand that what played out there was what we call greed. Now, greed is when people see that the market is doing very well and they start buying. So at $50,000, people were buying. They're still buying. They're buying at 55, 58, 60,000. Someone actually bought at $68,000. The question is, where are you thinking the market is going to go next, bro? You're buying at 68,000 for a market that started rising from 3,500 in less than 2 years. You should know that it is just market psychology. The market is going to come back down. That's just market psychology. That is how the market works. It's not about you. It has got nothing to do with FTX. It has got nothing to do with Sam Bankman-Fried. It has got nothing to do with CZ. It has got nothing to do with anybody. That is what the market does. The market will do what it does. People jump in on the market, jump more into the market when the market is green. And people jump out more when the market is red. But now this is the simple principle that separates the smart money from the average person. As a matter of fact, in one of the videos I was watching, the guy said that there are three types of investors when it comes to any financial market. We have the innovators. They are the guys that jump in at the accumulation phase. Then we have the imitators. These guys are the guys that come in during the markup phase. Then we have the idiots. These guys are the guys that come in during the distribution phase. Your profitability in any financial market is simply based on when you come in. Are you coming in when the market is in the accumulation phase? Are you coming in when we are in a markup phase, or are you coming in at the distribution phase? If you come in at that in accumulation phase, you are an innovator. If you come in at the markup phase, you're an imitator. If you come in at the distribution phase, I put it to you, you're an idiot. Yeah, you're an idiot. Now, one of the reasons why a lot of people lost so much money when it is because of one simple thing. People have failed to understand that history will continue repeating itself. History will continue repeating itself. If you're gaining any form of value, please, drop a like, drop a comment, whatever it is, just drop it in the comment section, right? And also, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so right now. Okay, so history will continue repeating itself. Over the years, there's been a lot of exchanges that has gone down the drain. A lot of exchanges has gone down from the exchanges are not going to be used as wallets. Exchanges are not going to be used as wallets again, right? Now, but the truth of the matter is, if you understand anything about what do you call it now? Anything about wallets or crypto security, you are going to understand one thing, and that is what? That you don't, I repeat, you don't store money on an exchange, wallets. And if you have any form or any volume of money, you should not keep that money on an exchange. And the reasons are just so much. The reasons are just so much. Now, one of the major reasons is that just anything could happen to that exchange. Like, just anything could happen to that exchange. Now, let's look at some of the things that could go wrong with the exchange. One, it could be hacked. The exchange could be hacked. Now, let's see what happened. The FTX US was hacked and funds were taken out. FTX US was hacked and funds were taken out. Now, if you look at that, imagine you put your money in an exchange and the exchange gets hacked. So we are not saying that every exchange is going to do what Sam did, because the truth of the matter is what Sam did is the biggest fraud of the century. But every exchange is not going to do that. But don't forget that exchanges crash. Yes. Albert Einstein said anything that can go wrong will go wrong one day. Keeping money on an exchange is very dangerous. Now, when there is a hack, some of the things that could go wrong is that some of the funds of the investors could go missing. So, like what happened to FTX US? A huge amount of money was taken out of FTX US to the point where the wallet that moved out all the funds from FTX US became the 38th wallet with the highest amount of Ethereum in the world. That wallet became the 38th wallet based on volume with the highest amount of Ethereum in the world. And the other wallets that were before, that are above it, most of them are exchanges. So you can imagine that became the person became just one person that has, just imagine that. And just recently, that That wallet started converting most of those Ethereum to wrapped Bitcoin. Now, what are we trying to say? What we are trying to say is very simple, right? You do not keep money on an exchange. It's centralized exchange. You don't do it. Now, there was an exchange in Canada that folded up. They filed for bankruptcy. And what did they say happened? That their CEO died, and he had all the reserve funds of the exchange in a private hardware wallet, and he died with the private keys or the recovery phrase. So just imagine that. Is he really dead? Nobody knows. Was there really a burial? Nobody knows. But did people, investors, lose funds? Absolutely. There's also the issue of empty gogs that happened over 5 years ago. Guys, we can't start listing how many centralized exchanges have gone down. And also, another thing you need to understand, when a centralized exchange is hacked also, there could be loss of data. That means your username and password may be deleted. Your username may be deleted from their database completely. So when we have a situation where there's loss of data, how can you make a claim to your funds? How? So these are some of the issues. The centralized exchange can be hacked. The CEO can run away. The CEO can die. Or the CEO can decide to use all the money that people have in his reserve to be funding democratic parties, just like Sam Bankman-Fried did. Or you can be using it to fund lavish lifestyle. So a centralized exchange, keeping money on a centralized exchange, especially when we have volume of it, is actually very bad. Now I'm going to give a tip for free here. There's a mistake a lot of people make when trading, and that is not to have a defined trading capital. Not having a defined trading capital is one of the major problems of traders. Now, you are supposed to have a defined trading capital. And once you do this, it will determine how much you leave on your exchange. What does that mean? Let's say my trading capital is $10,000. That means that at the end of every week, any amount I make on $10,000, I pull it out. Any amount I make on $10,000, I pull it out at the end of every week. Now, what if I intend to take my trading capital to $50,000? Now, the common mistake a lot of people make is to keep trading and compounding till we get to $50,000. That's a very stupid thing to do. Yeah, I said that. Now, but what is the way to do that? Grow this account gradually. If you have $10,000, you make $20,000, take out your $10,000 on top. Set a time frame. Okay, I'm going to, as you're making money, if you've gotten to some extent, you can top up your trading capital. So let me give you a simple example. So if I'm targeting to raise $50,000 as my trading capital from $10,000, one of the things I'm going to do is first, once I start trading with my $10,000, any money I make, I pull it out on top of it. If I have been able to double that money, such that I've taken out my $10,000 aside, I can now decide, okay, so I want to increase this account by 50%. Then I'll top up $5,000 on it and trade it again. Anything I make on $15,000, I pull it out. Once I double it, I top it up again, take it to 20. That's simple. That's the idea, guys. So no matter what happens, what is in your reserve would always be almost equivalent to your capital. I have a friend that lost huge amount of money on this FTX matter. He has almost all his funds on FTX. And I mean, it's not been an easy ride for him. It's not been an easy ride at all. So I can tell. I also know someone whose friend lost about $23 million in FTX. So guys, one of the reasons I'm giving some of all this information for free is that these are informations that everyone should know. but we decide to ignore. Binance is the #1 trading exchange in the world, but it's still a centralized exchange. There are so many centralized exchanges out there. Keeping money in a centralized exchange as your store or as your vault is very dangerous. Just anything could go wrong. Because in the words of Albert Einstein, anything that can go wrong will go wrong one day. It's just a matter of time. So that is the end of our beating today, and I hope you gained value. If you gained any value, feel free, drop it on the comment section, like the video, subscribe, share the video with your friends. The information you found out here will be very, very helpful to one person or two persons that you know. So feel free, share the video, and I don't know if we'll still have one more breakfast meeting in December, and I really hope we do. But if we don't have any before Christmas, this is wishing you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. Thank you so much, guys. I still remain Silas Umekwe, your business and life coach. So if you have anything you think you want to chat me up with, always my informations are in the bio section, and feel free, contact me. God bless you guys. God bless you.